So, today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful, maybe the most powerful principles out there, the law of cause and effect. The idea is simple: what we do creates what we get. And we're going to see this law play out in a really powerful way through the story of a guy named Jack, who went from a life that was just completely falling apart to one filled with purpose and creation. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Think about it for a second. Are you consciously, intentionally creating the life you want? Or does it feel more like you're just constantly reacting, just putting out fires that life keeps throwing at you? This very question, well, it's right at the heart of Jack's story. All right, let's meet Jack. He's 27, super talented, and he's got this incredible dream of starting his own custom furniture business. I mean, he has the skills, he has the vision, but he's completely stuck. He's trapped by a mindset that is about to send his entire life into a total tailspin. So, what was really holding him back? Well, the problem was these invisible walls he built up. See, Jack had a really rough childhood, and it left him with this deep, deep belief that the world was just fundamentally rigged against him. And this wasn't just a bad mood he'd get into sometimes. This was his core programming, and it fueled a constant, draining habit of blaming everyone and everything else for his problems. And this whole belief system, it just started this crazy negative loop in his head. Every single time something went wrong, this was the first thing that would pop into his mind. And then right after that, his brain would jump to this. He was convinced that there was this conspiracy out there, that people were actively trying to stop him from succeeding. And it would always land right here, with this feeling of being a total victim. Now, this whole inner monologue, that was the cause. That was the engine creating all the bad effects in his life. He just couldn't see it yet, you know? Okay, so you can probably guess where this is headed, right? Because when you consistently plant seeds of blame and victimhood, you eventually have to harvest the results. All those unhealed patterns in Jack's mind were about to show up in the real world, in a huge way. And, well, the result was predictable. His life just descended into total chaos. His anger blew up potential opportunities. That victim mindset, it pushed everyone away, leading to broken relationships and feeling totally alone. His lack of discipline meant he was always broke. It was just this compounding disaster, and it was all being fueled by what was going on inside his head. And then it happened. All that pressure just built and built until it had nowhere else to go. Jack had a huge, violent outburst at his job. It was his absolute rock-bottom moment, the crisis that finally just shattered all his denial and forced him to look at the truth. So Jack ends up in a mental health facility to get stable, and it's there, in that quiet moment after the storm, that he encounters a question that would completely reframe his entire existence. And this gets to the heart of what Jack was missing his whole life: the law of cause and effect. The idea is that every single thing you do, every action, every belief, every single emotional pattern you have is a cause, and it will produce a result down the line. Nothing just happens. Nothing is random. So one day, his counselor just lays this on him. Just listen to this. What if nothing in your life is happening to you? What if it's all happening because of you? For Jack, this question was like a bomb going off in his head. I mean, it challenged the entire foundation of his identity as a victim of life. He wanted to fight it, of course. He wanted to argue and deny it. But for the first time, something inside him just cracked. And he spoke the most honest, vulnerable truth of his entire life. He just admitted it. I don't believe I deserve success. That single admission, man, that was the tiny cause that was about to change everything. And just like that, the rebuilding began. Jack started the slow, really hard work of shifting his entire operating system, moving away from a life of constant knee-jerk reaction and stepping into a life of conscious, intentional creation. It wasn't magic. He just learned some really practical, down-to-earth skills. It started with something as basic as just taking a breath before reacting. He learned to actually plan his moves instead of just bouncing from one impulse to the next. He started to identify his triggers, to actually challenge that old negative voice in his head, and to build these small, consistent habits that started to stack up. And you can really see the shift here, right? It was profound. His old reaction mode was all about blaming others, repeating the same mistakes, self-sabotage, and just living in chaos. But his new creation mindset, that was all about building, learning from mistakes, discipline, and maybe most importantly, taking responsibility. It was a complete 180. And guess what? The effects, the results, started showing up and fast. Within just 1 month, he actually applied for a small business workshop. By month 3, he was saving money consistently for the first time in his life. And get this, just 6 months into this whole journey, he landed his first 12 clients for his furniture business. The law was working, but this time, it was working for him.
Okay, so Jack's story is a great example, but let's make this about you. Because this law, it's operating in your life right now, this very second. So how can you start using it consciously today?
First things first, you've got to really let this one sink in. Life is not punishing you. Life is responding to you. If you feel like you're stuck in some kind of negative loop, it's not because the universe is out to get you. It's simply mirroring back to you the causes, the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions that you're putting out there. So let's get super practical with this. Look at the effect you're feeling. If you feel like you're always broke, could the cause actually be a habit of poor budgeting? If the effect is constant stress in your relationships, could the cause be that you're avoiding tough conversations? If you feel totally stuck, could the real cause be inconsistency or maybe just a fear of even getting started? The power is in connecting the effect back to a cause you can actually do something about. All right, so here's my challenge to you. Look at one effect in your life right now that you're just not happy with. Now, what is one small, manageable action, one tiny new cause that you can put into motion today to start shifting that pattern? It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering thing. It just has to be a start. Because you got to remember this. You don't need some massive tidal wave of change to alter your entire destiny. All you need is one small, intentional action. Small causes, when you stick with them, are exactly what change big futures.